You might have missed us.
Yeah, we missed an episode. Sorry about that.
Well, basically last week we had a crazy week because we were flying to Thailand Friday evening, and Thursday evening we had our first ever dinner that we hosted, like a Get the Check dinner, and it was really fun. We had a bunch of cool female founders and investors, like people in like wearables to people investing in deep tech, like all these different things. And it honestly all turned out really well. Like,
yeah.
Not to toot our own horn, but I feel like it looked better than like sometimes when it's like done at like a restaurant.
Yeah. I know now we like want to do more events, so stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
Yeah, and then on Friday, like, when did I even pack? We all basically packed Friday, which is the day we were leaving for an international trip to Thailand. Like, I genuinely did not think about a single thing of the trip, like what I was going to wear, where we were going to go, anything until 3 hours before we were leaving for the airport.
Yeah, and Annika and I were talking about it because I feel like on all of our friend group trips we've ever been on, like it's always me and her planning it.
I was worried that you guys were going to be like a little scared or anxious going into the trip.
No, I trust you.
Yeah, I trust you.
Okay.
No, I like
someone
totally trust
else.
you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say honestly, if it was anyone else, then I would have been stressed. But because it was you, I was like, it'll be fine.
Yeah. But basically on Friday, we were gonna work, and like this is before we're all taking a week of PTO, which is like the most we ever take. So like we had a lot of work to do for work as well. Record an episode with this founder that I think we're still going to record an episode with, but he got sick, so then that was why there's no episode. Then we packed, then we get on this flight, and then Thailand was fun. It's a really pretty country, and the people were super nice.
Yeah.
We had,
Oh my
like,
god, we went to Grandma's kitchen.
Grandma's.
we had like one of the best meals of our lives, and it was like $2 an entree.
Wait, like literally in total, I think how much was it per person? Less than $10.
Less than $10.
And like when I tell you, I think we ordered like 30 Thai teas.
And there's only 13 of us.
We ran the restaurant out of Thai teas, but there was no one else at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Our friend group, like, one of our common threads is how big back we are. Like, there's actually no limit to the amount of stuff we'll order. Like, I'll be like, oh, one Thai tea. It's like 2, 3, 4. The whole group, we were trying to count off when we were going to go to another place, okay? Like, count off 1 to 14 because there's like, or 1 to 13 because there's 13 people on the trip. We can never do it. Like, one boy's like, why are we doing this? Like, someone else is like,
I want to be number 1.
Number out of order. Yeah, it's like a preschool, literally. And then we sit at dinner, and that's the only time we can cut off. Someone will be like, oh, 1 Thai tea, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 13 in exact order. And I'm like, you can't be serious. Wait, the waiters actually looked shocked at us.
One of our friends ordered 4. Like 4 Thai teas.
We were just being straight medicines, dude. And then on the other spectrum of things, we went to this 2-star Michelin restaurant, which was still only like low 200s per person, which for what that meal was like such a good deal. And our friend is just like shit talking the food. And you know how at like Michelin places they'll have like 10 people for your one
surrounding
table?
you.
Yeah. So we're the only people in this entire restaurant. They're surrounding us, and we're just like complaining about the portion sizes.
Yeah. We also had
really shocked.
We stayed at the most insane hotel in Bangkok, and there was an unlimited breakfast buffet.
Oh my god.
They gave us, because our group was so big, they gave us the private dining room.
Yeah, for free.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted us somewhere where you could shut the door. No, like,
honestly, that's so valid.
It was so fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So yeah, now we're back from our break, and
It's
we're
5:30
here.
a.m. because Annika has to catch a flight to New York in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, my flight is at 8, so let's hope I make it.
Okay, so today, wait, I should say welcome back to Get the Check.
Dude, we don't record for 1 week and Maya forgets the intro.
Okay, cool. Welcome back to Get the Check. I'm Maya.
I'm Annika.
I'm Priya.
And today we have some fun stories, actually. Meta release.
They're actually fun this time.
Well, sometimes when we're not talking about AI, it's like really fun because then we don't.
Oh, so you're
talk
just
about AI.
lying and always saying it's fun.
Okay, well,
Noted.
I have no other adjectives than fun. So if you've met me, my vernacular is not great.
Wait, what did you say yesterday?
She wrote in our research doc, instead of misunderstanding or confusing, misconfusing. The most insane part is like I always understand what she means too, but I feel like between me and Priya, 1 out of the 2 will understand what she means. Yeah.
Cool. So for the stories, we have Meta releasing the Ray-Ban display, which is their first consumer smart glasses. So it's like a little display in the corner of your right eye, I believe. So it kind of bridges the gap between they're like previous Meta glasses with a camera and like AR VR glasses. The second story that we're going to be going into is that Trump placed $100,000 fee on the H1-B petition. So now if you're applying for an H1-B, you have to pay $100,000 instead of a couple $1,000s, and normally this cost is bared by the employer. And then finally, we'll be going into our Get the Check segment. We're going to be featuring Oura, which is the company that makes the little wearable ring on your finger and can track your fitness. And they recently raised $175 million for their Series A at a $10.9 billion valuation. That's actually expected to close at the end of this month. There's no like official numbers that have reported this. So we're early to report this, but that is the rumor as of right now.
We just love Oura.
Yeah. Honestly, Aura sponsorship, I could be down.
I think I've emailed them before.
I could be down for the Meta Ray-Ban display PR list.
Oh, I could be down.
I feel like
too.
it's nothing to them.
Yeah, it is nothing to them.
Wait, we should reach out.
Yeah.
So getting into the headlines, last week Meta released the Ray-Ban display, and this was during their like developer conference, and it was basically their first consumer smart glasses that have an in-lens screen and also a neural wristband, and they're selling it for $799, which honestly, in my opinion, isn't like a crazy high price point. I think that's like pretty affordable for what it is. And then with that release, they also upgraded their existing Ray-Bans that they have, and they came out with a sportswear like Oakley version of it as well. Over the past few years, I feel like Meta has clearly been investing in these relationships. Like they deepened their relationship with EssilorLuxottica and even like took a percentage stake in the company, and they're basically the parent company to Ray-Bans. And so they've been doing both that while also continuing their investment in the AR VR space with like Reality Labs, which is now totaling over $100 billion. So we're going to get into what the glasses are and talk more about like the entire AR VR space.
Yeah. The glasses come with a little neuro wristband, which is like an EMG sensor wristband, and essentially it detects like your hand gestures, and that will help you control the glasses. So if you remember the Apple Vision Pro release, the way that you control your glasses and the way you're looking at like the different things and making different movements or like controlling the like inputs to like what you want to happen is through your eyes. And eye tracking is quite hard to achieve in such a small form factor, especially when it's like not completely covering your entire face. And so they went with a different approach using like the neural wristband. And this shouldn't be a surprise to people. I guess it wasn't really in mainstream news, but back in 2019, they acquired Control Labs, which was co-founded by Thomas Reardon, a former Microsoft engineer that built Internet Explorer. And he was literally developing these wristbands to like be able to detect these signals. So this is like kind of a field in general. There's a couple of competitors out there that just make the wristbands, but it's actually pretty innovative technology to be able to detect like the little like those like things that they were doing on TV, like the like turn of the knob or whatever. I noticed like in the news, like they didn't really highlight the wristband as like breaking at like cutting edge technology,
cool technology,
but it really is like it's the most advanced wristband that we've seen today. I feel
like in their interviews I think they did mention it more. Like I watched like TVPN's coverage of Meta Connect, and they mentioned it more, and they were like, this in and of it, to your point, like this in and of itself is breakthrough technology, and it could be used as a TV remote or other things independent of the glasses as well. This is just like the beginning. But I feel like the major articles about like Meta Connect didn't mention it.
They didn't, and it's the first wristband that doesn't require calibration. So I was reading a couple articles on it, and it's quite hard to make a wristband that like understands like many different genders or races and the way like your muscle fibers twitch and stuff. And so they did a bunch of training on like many participants from many like different backgrounds to make sure that the wristband works for everyone and that there was no calibration needed. So I thought that was also really cool.
Yeah. No, it is really cool because it's really just like a super small wristband that like goes around your wrist, and it basically can feel the arm muscle like pulses that are happening. And so like when you like tap your fingers together, for example, it'll like understand what that means. And it was also saying that you can literally have your hand down, like you don't need to like move it around or like do anything. So it can be super subtle, which is also really cool.
Yeah. So that wristband is what like led them to achieve like creating this whole kind of kit of being able to like control that display in the bottom right corner. And I think like another big a big thing about the display that they released is that on the other side, someone can't actually see that you're looking at a display or even really notice or tell. Versus like all the previous models or versions or prototypes that they've shown, you've always been able to see some like light leak a little bit. So you can tell someone looking at a screen, which is really interesting.
Yeah, and with the glasses, you can do mostly things that you'd expect. Like you can see your messages, you can use maps, you can look at music.
Well, as of right now, you can only use WhatsApp, which I'm not texting anyone on WhatsApp. So,
well, that's what we were doing in Thailand, thanks to whoever was.
Well, you know, I asked Annika in Thailand, and I was like, "Oh, what's your WhatsApp? Like, I can add you to the group." And she was like, "I don't have a WhatsApp. I don't use it." And then I was like, "Okay." So then I didn't add her, and then like a day later, I see she's in the WhatsApp, and I was like, "Oh." So she does have WhatsApp.
No, like I don't have WhatsApp on my phone, but then you were like, but then I went to text the group something, and then Priya was like, people only check the WhatsApp, and I was like, oh, okay.
No, honestly, it was really, really tough to communicate because some people would only text the iMessage and some people would only text the WhatsApp, and you had to text both to get coverage across both. And so, yeah, it was really hard to communicate with 13 people on that trip.
No, I was just going to say they plan to expand beyond WhatsApp. This is just like at launch. And so a use case would be like, hey, Meta AI, show me coffee shops around me. And then it shows me 3 options. And then I use the neural band to be like, oh, I want to go to the second one. And then the maps pops up to like route me. And then I'm like, oh, text my group chat with Priya and Maya and say that I'm 15 minutes away from this coffee shop. It texts you guys, and then like when you guys respond like, hey, I actually can't make it for another 30, like I just see that show up.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll be able to get an iMessage integration, because I feel like there's certain apps where it's like, yeah, you'll probably be able to do it, but iMessage might be a tough one.
Yeah, they're gonna have to develop like some sort of you know how App Store is like
build.
You can build on the App Store, or there's like developer toolkits to be able to build on the App Store. Like they might have to do that for the Meta ecosystem as well.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the tech influencers were commenting that this won't get adoption unless like they get an integration like that.
Yeah.
Which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But
Well, Facebook does also have Messenger, which I feel like people actually do use a little bit.
yeah. I mean,
Not like us, but like there's people that use it. Like I've had eras in my life where I use it.
Yeah, like my was dating her international boyfriend. That was the era that she used Messenger.
No, like we fully always communicated.
Dude, that's like what Annika was referring to.
She was like, I have eras.
To your point, the coffee shop example is really cool, and I feel like that is something that I would use. It's also nice because then you don't have to use your phone, which I feel like everyone's kind of in this era of not wanting to use your phone.
Yeah.
What? Why are you laughing?
I was gonna say you would use it for sure.
Oh yeah. No, I would definitely use it.
Why, like her specifically?
No, I just can see like Priya being like, "Hey, Meta AI, take me to a cool coffee shop."
Yeah, I feel like I am probably the most likely to use that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was gonna say is that the live demo was a major fail, and it was really bad. It was
big
really
upset.
bad.
There were 2 different flops.
Yeah, and they both blamed the Wi-Fi, which I'm like skeptical of, but
Yeah, I saw another explanation that was like, okay, so the 2 instances were like, one was a chef was trying to get sauce, like Korean barbecue sauce instructions from the AI. And then another was Zuck was trying to figure out how to answer calls. And one explanation I saw was that when you're live streaming from the glasses while also trying to do these other features, it makes it like more likely to mess up. And most of the tech influencers that have tried these all said that it's been working well for months.
I have seen
that.
So, and I honestly, I guess I'm like inclined to believe them. It seems like it wasn't the technology.
Yeah, I mean, Meta did a really good job of releasing the glasses to all the tech influencers prior to the release. So I think they all had their like YouTube videos ready and dropped it the day of, and they were all, and I think some of them made edits being like, I know it like flopped on stage, but like I actually really like it.
Yeah, and I've been using
it. Yeah. I also respect that they don't do the pre-recorded thing that Apple does.
Yeah.
It is an interesting decision because I feel like if I was in their shoes, I would definitely pre-record it.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Because it's like you get some, like, you're aura farming a little bit, but the potential downside's just way bigger than the upside you get. Because no one talks about the fact that it's live unless it goes badly.
No, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, the tech influencers were very shocked. I was watching MKBHD, like Marquez Brownlee or whatever, who covers like a lot of the drops in consumer devices. And he was saying that 10 months ago, Meta released their Orion glasses. And their Orion glasses, they were like $10,000 to make. They were like an AR VR glass. They had eye tracking, and the display was across both lenses, but it was like nowhere near ready for consumer adoption because it took $10,000 to make each one of those units. And so the fact that they were able to turn around like a very similar type of product within 10 months was very impressive. Part of me thinks though that they kind of planned it, like they almost kind of planned showing what the Orion looked like, because that is what the future of it is, but they always had the Meta display like up and coming for the last 2 years, because you don't just develop a wristband like that out of nowhere.
No, for sure.
Right?
Yeah. Wait, so what's the difference between the
Orion and this? So the Orion doesn't have a wristband, and it uses eye tracking. Like that's the main difference.
It's supposed to be better eye tracking than like what was used in the last generation of.
It's like a truer AR VR solution. So a lot of people are calling the Meta Ray-Ban displays not an AR VR solution, because it's a simple, like it's a smart glass with an overlay, versus like AR VR is like when you're fully submerged. Like I think like, I don't know exactly what makes it part of it, but AR VR is like when your display is like interacting with your environment as well.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. But I think we talked about this, and we'll probably get into this more, but in terms of user adoption, we haven't seen AR VR have any huge user adoption.
Yeah.
And I feel like part of the reason that they need to release something like this is because you need that middle ground to get people on board to even using this form factor.
Yeah.
Because I would say that glasses has been around for a really, really long time, but it's never actually picked up traction. Like Snapchat has done it, Google has done it, like everyone has tried to do glasses.
I feel like it's like the classic expensive Christmas present that
no one ever uses it. Yeah.
Did you watch TBPN? Because they made the same joke.
Oh no.
Yeah, they said that. Well, they weren't saying it as a joke. They were asking Meta about their retention, because they were like, what metrics are most important to you right now? Is it like retention? Because everyone's been like, oh, you give it to someone as a present, they never use it again, which we literally gave Param that Meta thing as a present. The Meta Quest, which, by the way, the day before we're all hanging out at the Microsoft office, and somehow MetaQuest comes up, because I think they'd like recently released one, which is why we got it for him. And it was like, we're talking about it. And he was like, yeah, like, I just think things like that are so dumb. Like, I would never want one. Like, their ads about it are so dystopian, like, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, yeah, but like, it could be cool. And he was like, yeah, like.
And then you got it for him.
We gave it to him the next day. We already had it.
Oh.
Yeah. And we literally,
did they keep it?
I guess it's literally a year ago today. He kept it, and he was like, no, I'm actually really excited to use it, and then never
I don't think he's ever used it,
We all tried it out, and then it never got used again.
Yeah.
Well, but that happened to my sister too. So.
Yeah. It's like a canon event. But I think it'll be good, because like Meta has really been trying to make AR VR a thing for a long time. They've poured so much money into Reality Labs, even though it's losing them a ton of money. And so I think that this could be their big break.
Yeah, Reality Labs was something they started after the company was already profitable, to try to make like a big bet on the future.
Isn't that why they rebranded to Meta?
Metaverse?
In the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been in the making. Also, the AR VR market is up again and growing 20% year over year in the last quarter after 2 down years. So I think AR VR is like very subject to like a bunch of fluctuations, and this is like probably another thing that'll move it in the positive direction. Although I believe that this is still a Christmas present. I don't think this is like a consumer adoption product.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it can get there.
I think it's getting there.
Yeah,
I
think it can get
I
there.
agree.
I think we need like another year or two, because I think the biggest thing is the fact that it doesn't work with Apple.
Oh, I agree that there needs to be another year or two. But to me, a year is like not that long.
Yeah.
But I did see that the Ray-Ban, like, so there are Ray-Bans that they've already had that have like photo and video. They've sold 2 million units of, which is pretty good. Like, I think that was considered like the first time one of their glasses like took off a little bit. And apparently the monthly active users has been growing 4x year over year. So they are seeing more retention than before on some of these products.
Yeah. I also think like AI will make glasses a form factor that's like more considered, and that's what Zuck said as well. He basically said that glasses are the ideal form of super intelligence, which I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, but there's been all these wearable conversations with like Johnny Ive and Apple and like all of these companies, and so I think it's a valid take take your bet on glasses.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone basically has agreed that it's either going to be AirPods or glasses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really heard anything else seriously suggested. So at that point, there's like 2 options. And it obviously makes sense for Meta, that's been focusing on AR and VR for like years, to go the glasses route. Yeah. And not to mention, like, Apple will be like such a strong competitor in AirPods anyways, and OpenAI is also going into it. So
I'm curious how Apple is thinking about their AR VR division, because I know they went like full like headset mode with the Apple Vision Pro, and then they have AirPods, but they don't have anything in between. And I almost feel like maybe they need to make a bet on something in between just to hedge their bets.
I feel like Apple could do an more AI version of AirPods, but I feel like they'll need to partner with someone else. Like if they partnered with Anthropic to do it.
To do AirPods?
Yeah.
Well, there's the AI model, and then there's just like the glasses with the glass display. I think the AI model is like less of a concern. I think it's totally possible that they can strike a partnership with any big lab to create a model.
Well, it would basically be Anthropic. Like, who else would it be?
Like, would OpenAI not want to do like any sort of deal?
Well, they're making a competitor. Like, why would they do an AirPods deal? Like,
Not
maybe
an
if they did
AirPods
glasses.
deal. Yeah.
I guess, like, I see what you're saying, but from my perspective, like, I feel like if Apple were to win, it would be in AirPods because, like, even their newest generation of AirPods is, like, so advanced, and that's what they're known for. And, like, it already has adoption. Yeah. So, like, if I was them, I would try to compete in that over glasses because, like you said, they don't even have a display version right now. And then if you're competing in AirPods, it's like OpenAI won't work with you. I highly doubt Google will work with them. And so I feel like it basically leaves Anthropic unless they want to work with, like, Elon, which I highly doubt they want to do.
Yeah. I do agree that would suck that, like, glasses is, like, a better form factor than AirPods to get, like, information. Because there's, like, it's kind of like the whole issue of, like, do you want to read information or do you want to always listen to information? And, like, or is there, like, a mix of both? And I think the Meta Ray-Ban display, like, achieves that, like, nice mix of both. I don't know. I just see that being the better form factor long term of like how I would want to receive information.
But like when Siri tries to like read me my messages, I actually crash out.
Exactly.
Like I'm like, I don't want to hear anything you're telling me right now.
So
like, shut up.
Yeah. So I think Apple needs to make a bet in the middle area too, is what I'm saying. Like there's basically like AirPods, and then there's like their Apple Vision Pro, and there's like nothing in the middle.
Also, like, their whole thing is hardware. Like, Apple's whole thing is hardware.
Yeah.
And I feel like they could design...
They could do it.
...really good glasses.
Yeah.
There probably hasn't been, like, a good enough reason, and I think Apple also needs things to be perfect before they release it. And so maybe they have been working on it for a really long time, like we wouldn't know.
Well, everyone has been saying that they think they are because they switched everything to liquid glass with the last iOS.
Yeah.
People were like, oh, they're trying to get people used to
liquid glass
displays.
Yeah. So maybe it's coming.
Yeah, and then the last thing I was gonna say on Zuck talking about like how he thinks this is the ideal form for AI. He also said that he'd rather lose a couple $100 billion than miss AGI and like miss this opportunity.
Yeah,
like
I feel like that's been their entire AR VR thing this entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Meta and you need to reinvent yourself, like that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it was their head of wearables or something was talking about how like once everyone's using these glasses, there's a lot of integrations with social media that like it makes sense for Meta to own. Like you could just set your glasses to be like, take a 30-second clip every time I hit another mile in this like 13-mile half marathon, and then just like upload the reel to Instagram. And I hadn't really thought about that, but it does make like a lot of sense.
Yeah. I know some people that have like the current Meta Ray-Bans, and I've seen them upload posts to Instagram where it says like posted with Meta Ray-Bans before. Yeah, it's like pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess getting into who's tried to do this in the past, the big example is Google Glass, which was back in 2014. So it was like over 10 years ago now. They launched it in 2014, and I would say the key issues were around cost. I think it was $1,500.
Yeah.
I thought it was earlier than 2014. I thought the concepts were like back in 2010 or 2012.
Maybe the concepts came out then, but it was launched to market in 2014. Yeah. But then it literally got pulled in 2015, so it was not long living.
I feel like the biggest issue to me was like the battery life. Like it was 4 hours, and if you used video, it would be even shorter. And it just seems like the product was bad. Like $1,500 is expensive.
It also looked really dumb.
Yeah. And apparently people started calling people glass holes if they were wearing it. Which actually cracked me up. It also had like a super limited app ecosystem. So I think it's like the combination of like, to be at that price point, you need to be delivering like a world-class tech product.
Yeah. I mean, the entire ecosystem that exists today also wasn't really a thing then.
I'm just like laughing about the glass.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not like it wasn't the wrong idea necessarily. I don't think any of these people have had the wrong idea, but the tech just wasn't there. It was too buggy. And they even then like tried to go on to re-release it in, was it 2017?
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we're going to relaunch it, but this time it's targeted at enterprises. So we want you to use it for like manufacturing or like service logistics or people like that. And then that didn't work.
That
either.
was just a Hail Mary. Yeah.
And then eventually it got pulled in 2023 and they haven't done anything.
They
since
walked
then.
so Meta could run.
Yeah. And a key issue back then, which is still a concern that I've seen a lot of people bring up, is privacy. So at the time when Google Glasses was released, there were restaurants and bars that were like so scared of people recording them basically. And I also, like Annika was saying this yesterday, but I think it was a time where like the iPhone wasn't as much of a thing because it was like 2014. And so they would literally ban it because people were like, I don't want my privacy infringed upon.
Okay, I thought about this, and I think even more potentially than the invention of the phone, I think the invention of short form content has changed how we think about our privacy, because I genuinely all the time see someone recording a TikTok. You can easily be in the back of it. Like, I see girls joking. Like, this girl made a TikTok the other day joking about how she, like, saw herself in, like, the background of one of her favorite influencers' posts.
That's
funny.
Yeah.
I think you had to get the iPhone so that you could get the ability to take pictures easily. So then you could get the ability to take videos easily. So then, like, the short form video content world could explode. So comparing it to, like, phones being able to take pictures and invade other people's privacies, like, was never a fruitful comparison until recently.
Yeah. My perspective is I think the idea that you could be getting recorded will be normalized way faster than people think. Because I already see TikToks that are like, I was at this club in Vegas and like, if this is your fiance's name, like I saw him talking to like 4 girls and here's the video and it has like 1 million likes.
Yeah.
And there's a separate philosophical conversation about like, what does it mean as a society that we've completely evaded our sense of privacy in the public sphere, if not also the private sphere sometimes? Obviously, I think we're all uncomfortable with that, but I still think it's inevitable and it's completely legal unless you're specifically in a private environment where there's laws or like NDAs signed or something like that.
Yeah.
Do either of you think that the privacy thing will be an actual issue with adoption?
No.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's like the same thing as when people say data is like being sold.
This is kind of a hot take though of ours, more than I think we realize, because like everything I see online is kind of the opposite. There's like a super viral article recently called I Hate My Friend. I don't know if you guys read it, but you know the friend pendant?
Yeah.
Like it was about that because like it's launching again now, or I guess launching for the first time, but the product.
Well, you should know it because Annika made a TikTok about it.
And they gave it to Wired reporters to use, and the Wired reporters talk about how even at tech conferences people were like saying like you should like kill yourself for wearing this here, and like it was kind of a joke, but she was like basically the reporter has like a legit L5 crash out in the article about like the way people are treating her, and she's like, I hate my friend, I'm never wearing this again, like we should like never use things like this. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it'll be normalized.
What people were mad about, like what were they mad about?
Both with Friend and what Zuck has already said about these glasses is the idea is they're on 24/7, and obviously you have the ability to turn them off, but the default setting is on. And so like it listens, for example, Friend will like listen to your conversations and then send you texts about it, and people around you will kind of see that you're getting texts about the conversation they're having with you.
Yeah.
So they obviously feel like right now, if one of my coworkers was wearing a Friend, right, to work, I would definitely, or like
Think about what you're saying.
yeah, I would definitely think about what I'm
sure.
saying. Yeah, 100%. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say anything even remotely that could be construed poorly, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just what people were saying. But like once it's way more normalized.
Yeah, I think it will become more normalized.
I feel like it's like similar to like how you like know there's security cameras and you don't like commit fraud, like you don't steal something.
Yeah, but there's a difference. Like imagine if every single thing you say to anyone that you say to in your
like
life
is
recorded and could be played back to you. There's just so, I mean, it's like a literal Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
You and Adi. Be hitting play.
Yeah, I could totally see Maya doing that. Okay, well, if you guys want to send us the Meta Ray-Ban display, we'd love to try it out for you.
Cool. Should we move on to the H1-B conversation? So on Friday afternoon, I believe, Trump signed an executive order that mandated people spend $100,000 whenever they're creating new H1B visa petitions. And at the time, it was very unclear whether or not if this like $100,000 fee was like for every H1B holder and they would have to pay it every year, or if it's just the first time that they have to petition, or if it's like they petition, they get denied, and every time they apply they have to petition. So it was unclear how often they would be paying this $100,000 fee. And the Trump administration also was very confused about the policy themselves, because they also contradicted each other, which we can get into. And the TLDR is that in the end, with as of right now, reporting on September 23rd, Tuesday morning, it is only the first time that you are applying that you have to pay this fee, but it is an increase from the around $2,000 fee that was there prior.
Yeah, no, it was kind of crazy because we were talking about this while we were in Thailand.
Yeah.
I think Maya's mom called her.
Yeah.
And was like, if you have anyone that's on an H1B, like they need to get back.
Yeah.
No, which totally makes sense because every big tech company was also saying that.
Yeah, because it didn't say whether or not you needed to like pay it on re-entry or pay it when you apply. Like it never made it clear of like when you have to pay this fee. Yeah. So everyone was like rush home to the US as soon as possible before the deadline, because they also did it with no warning. Like they did it and said you had to get back home to the States within a day, which is just insane. Like
we can't even make it back in a day.
Yeah. No, I was like, if anyone on our trip actually had an H1B, like it would be fucked.
Yeah.
Like it would be crazy. That's why my mom called me, because she was like, I don't know who's on your trip, but like you guys need to go home. Like
your mom, I don't know who's on your trip, right after we all came to your house last weekend.
The group of like all 13 of us, you probably took one look and was like at least one of them on the H1B.
Yeah, but no, I saw a video of like in SF, there was a flight going from here to India and literally everyone just got up and got off the plane.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Because people were like, the other side of it was that people were on their flights and they weren't sure if like they would like need to pay the fee before entering or whatever. So they didn't even want to like ever be subject to it. So they just like decided to not even go on the flight in the first place.
It's crazy.
And all of the big tech companies like Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, or whatever, they all issued
Morgan, like finance companies, like all of them. Yeah,
they all issued statements saying like trying to protect their workers and trying to get them back as soon as possible.
What was the mix-up with the administration again?
Basically, Lutnick was saying in this live streams that it was like an annual fee, and then Carolyn Levitt, I think is her name, was like, no, that's like not true.
So it's basically the commerce secretary versus the press secretary.
Yeah. And so they were like disagreeing on what the fee was, and then they issued like an additional statement being like, no, you don't need to travel back to the US. You're like fine if you don't, and it's only for like your.
Thank you. After people are probably already in there.
It's so stressful.
Yeah, and I see like there's a lot of commentary, and we'll get into this, but there's a lot of commentary on like maybe the validity of the fee, like of like why we would want to increase the fee in the first place, but just the way that the administration went about it was like not okay.
Yeah, I also don't think it's incompetence. I think it's intentional, and I feel like that's a big debate with Trump all the time. And like with different things, people have different opinions. But the reason why I think it's intentional is because I think, first of all, it makes his choices look more reasonable, because he comes out with some insane thing like $100,000 and people start being like, everyone return to the country, it's yearly, like it applies to doctors, like outlining worst case scenarios, which are like always disastrous. They're like, we wouldn't have doctors in rural areas of the country. And then he backtracks, so then people are like, oh, see, it's like actually not that bad. And then like we'll obviously get into what it is now, but it makes him look more reasonable, and it also dominates every single news headline. Like the TikTok I made about it alone got like 400,000 views.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we saw with tariffs too. I had this like same thought process where I was like, I'm not going to be naive to this because he's definitely going to double back. He's going to like cut half of this executive order. Like, it seems like it's purposefully written vaguely so that they can like say whatever they want later. And then they did. Yeah. And part of the executive order also says that that he has the ability to waive the fee for like any person or any department or any like organization in general applying on behalf of their employees. And so there is early signal, or like the White House recently said that they're going to do that for all the doctors and hospital administration, like the hospital sector in general. And
I thought they're just doing it for doctors, but not the rest of.
Oh, I didn't know.
I think they're just doing it for doctors.
Well, because nurses aren't on H1Bs.
Like in TV.The's post, he said that people in residency and stuff don't apply, but doctors are exempt. And like people in university and stuff are not exempt.
Yeah.
Like researchers.
Yeah, which we can also get into. So we can give a quick like overview of like the H1B system by the numbers. There's about 400,000 applications in the last year, and that's down from 750 the year prior.
Wait, that was so interesting. Did you see why it was down?
Wasn't it because they like caught a bunch of fakes?
Yeah, like it's basically, it's not even like fakes necessarily.
It's like duplicates.
Yeah, it's like duplicates, which was really, it was honestly like, it makes a lot of sense that they were doing it. And basically employers, like let's say you had multiple job offers, for example, you could be applied into the lottery multiple times by all the different companies. And so there were people that were getting like unfair opportunities of being applied more times. Yeah. And so they saw it go from like an average of 1.7 to 1.06 after they like cracked down on the fraud and basically like got rid of all the duplicates, which I thought was interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's a huge part of the outsourcing firms issue. So like there's like a bunch of offshore firms that people in India will pay these firms to like get a job in the States. And then these firms will file an H1B on behalf of you and then place you in a job in the States somewhere. And then you can do that with like 10 different firms. Yeah. And so that's how they're duplicating their application basically.
Like Cognizant, Infosys.
Tata Consulting.
Tata. And it's all public information. Like it's all out there. But yeah, so there's close to 3 million H1B visa holders. Amazon files the most in a year. And then the other like top are all of these like outsourcing consultancy firms. And the biggest issue is that like H1B as a system was created so that we could bring great talent to the US and talent that would fill gaps that current Americans can't fill gaps here. And so because it's really easy to do this, we've seen the number of H1B applications explode.
Yeah, or even if they are high skilled, I feel like there's other things that are brought up, like the wages that are paid to them and how like it's like wage suppression by hiring H1Bs because they're willing to take lower wages than like U.S. citizens are.
Yeah. And what it does is it, one, hurts like the U.S. citizens, but it also hurts the H1B holders who are taking the like lower wages because I mean, we got into this in the last time we talked about this, but your spouse is not able to work when you're on an H1B. They can't
work at all.
And that's part of the issue is that you're like bringing in these people that like make less money, their spouses can't work, and those spouses are also
because
not
it's
doing
like
well.
If their spouses are on an H1B too, then it's fine.
Yeah,
but they're
yeah. No, sorry, I just got confused.
No, it is confusing.
Yeah. So the H1B system has like a lot of good to it and a lot of bad to it. And so like the commentary has been like the fact that it's a lottery is tough because you can't filter out the workers that should be picked and selected and stay in the States and the workers that like these jobs should actually just be given to American workers instead.
Right. Like theoretically, and Trump has brought this up before, I believe, you could organize it like ascending to descending salary. Yeah. And that should pick higher skilled people than a random lottery. Like if it's between a no-name startup that wants to hire someone in data for like $120K a year versus like, Meta wants to hire an engineer for like $800K. It's like, okay, like the one Meta wants to hire for $800K is probably more skilled and harder to find in the US.
Yeah. The problem with the salary-based approach though is then you bring in other biases like gender, attractiveness and stuff. And so
attractiveness.
That was such an interesting one to call out.
Wait, it's true.
No, yeah, I agree. Like
not saying that the Meta
matters.
Not saying like the OpenAI researchers are attractive, but yeah.
Do you think that really matters though in this context? Because it's like
I think to some extent, yeah, like when you're applying it to an entire system, like sure, maybe the top 10 are not attractive, but if you're like
not even talking about attractiveness, like even their like gender bias or whatever, it's like, yes, there's like gender bias and other biases in like how much we pay people, but it's still a really good proxy for how valuable you are to the economy.
Yeah, but I think it's a proxy that didn't get passed. Like it didn't, people didn't agree with it.
But I don't understand why. Like,
because it's easily like it's easily, what is
I
it?
guess it'd be easily
fraudable.
gamed.
Yeah,
that's the actual issue.
That's
like,
the issue.
I feel like it's like theoretically it actually is a better system. It's just that then like it would just be
There's
a race
like so
to
many
the top.
loopholes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, it'd be like a race. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And so going into like why Trump wants to do this is because like the salary system didn't work. Like it didn't get approved, right? Because it's easily gameable. And so the next best thing is placing a huge fee on it and being like, well, if they're really worth that much, you're willing to pay this fee. Yeah. And $100,000 is that line of like, well, that's actually how much they make. So you actually just like net out to zero. And so I think where the conversation is like settling is that if let's say if it was like truly a renewal thing, people would be outraged. They'd be
that'd be insane. How are you going to pay $100,000 every year?
Yeah,
like,
it would be too much. Yeah. But now that it's not a renewal, it's likely like the big tech will still pay the $100K for even like all of their H1-B positions. Maybe they'll be more choosy. And the people that'll be affected is like the IT consulting firms, so like Tata, like what we were talking about before, and then startups will also be affected. And then now that the executive order gives the ability to like basically waive industries, we'll probably see Trump waive.
I feel like semiconductors will get waived.
Yeah,
because like that is always called out as like what we need H1B workers for is like chips.
Yeah. So we'll see like different industries get waived. The one thing that they haven't decided to waive yet still is like the academic institutions.
Universities,
so also a recap of this system is that only 85,000 applicants get approved in the capped industries, which is basically like any corporate industry. But in the uncapped industries, like academic institutions, they're not part of the 85,000 pool. They can just get approved or rejected. And so that's beneficial for universities because you're not fighting for the same spots that employers are, but you can still bring in really, really skilled students. Now, if universities have to pay $100K, they can't. They don't have grants to cover that. So, well, because also Trump took away all their funding. But that's
I was gonna say, I honestly don't know if he'll make an exception. Yeah. And if he does, it'll probably only be in STEM.
Yeah, I
feel he kind of hates the universities.
It's like a double whammy. He's like taking away their funding. He's now like taking away their ability to hire H1B workers.
He's actually screwing them from like every single angle humanly possible.
It's not even being covered that much in the mainstream media either.
Like
how he's screwing the universities.
I feel like it is. I just think it's not a bigger focus point because people are still processing like the first order effects.
Yeah.
Like I think once it becomes more clear,
I
feel like once it becomes more clear what is and isn't exempt, then people will start commenting more deeply on like what isn't exempt.
Yeah.
For example, like when I posted my video, I spent like a decent amount of time commenting on doctors, which then like a day later was exempt. I don't know. Like No, I see what you're saying. It's tough, but. Yeah, TV's infographic also had some good information on which startups would get affected by it that I thought was interesting. And he basically makes the argument that it'll only be early stage startups and later stage startups like EXA, which we covered last week, that recently raised a pretty big round, I think over like 100 million, will not be affected by it because they can just use their funding. But if 100K is like a meaningful part of your runway, then obviously you're going to just try to find domestic talent. And
it's interesting because we were even like talking to one of our friends on the trip and they were like, we like can't sponsor people right now. I feel like Silicon Valley people always say it's like built on like H1Bs, right? Yeah. But then it's like at an early stage, especially if you're going to have these fees on it, like not only do you have to go through the entire sponsorship program, which is like a whole hassle in and of itself, but now there's all these barriers to doing it. And so I do think that in a way they'll be able to accomplish what they want, which is filling that with American workers.
Yeah.
So like Lutnick, who I don't like, but he made a point that I didn't think was like bad. And he said, if you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land, train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs. And like, I don't agree with the way he phrased it, but I do agree that however we do it, we need to incentivize companies to train recent graduates, because every time we cover the effect of AI on jobs, we always talk about how recent graduates are getting screwed over the most. They're not able to find jobs. Even anecdotally, like anytime we talk about this on social media, people are like, I like graduated from Columbia, I've applied to 1,000 jobs, like I can't get any. And of course you can always be like, oh, you're not trying, you're not hard enough, blah blah blah. And like, yes, there's always people that are gonna get jobs, but clearly there's like a systematic problem.
Yeah.
And the way to solve it is, one, like universities fix their educational curriculum to be more applicable, but two, companies in the interim are willing to train younger employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have seen this become an issue more and more, I would say, in the last year, because I did find this stat from 2024 from like the National Science Foundation and Bureau of Labor Statistics, and basically they said that engineering fields only have a jobless rate of 2.4%, which is like really low. And there were like a bunch of other stats that basically if you're in a STEM field or an engineering field, like the unemployment is always under 3%. And so I don't know what the like most recent stat on that is, because I have heard about it a lot more in the past year. But it's interesting because there aren't necessarily just like tons and tons of Americans in the past historically that haven't had these jobs. Like if anything, the STEM jobs are actually filled.
There's also a good amount of loopholes that people will go through, like Trump announced a gold card where an individual can pay $1 million or a corporation can pay $2 million to just automatically get a green card. Even more applicable is the O1 visa, which like Audie was literally telling us some of your guys' like college friends are on.
Yeah.
And basically the standard of evidence, the O1 is similar to the H1-B, but the standard of evidence is higher. So you have to prove you have a specialty occupation and extraordinary ability. But that can be something like a researcher, an artist, an entrepreneur. So something that very clearly falls into that would be like an OpenAI AI researcher. But I think that their definition, they do just anecdotally from our friends, seems like accept people beyond that.
Yeah.
If a startup or a VC firm's willing to vouch for this person being like really smart in a certain field.
Yeah, I think I've heard a lot of like founders or like really early stage employees do O1s because in
That
the
makes
VCs, because like you can get the board to vouch for the O1, and then
That
once
makes
your
sense.
board vouches, then you're good enough.
And part of the O1 is more flexible, which is that you can apply like any time of the year. And
Yeah.
I feel like because it's not as big of a process, there's not as many visas, that maybe it's like in a way easier because you're not in some like huge lottery. I think each one is getting approved or denied.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like a little more broad, right? Like it applies to athletics and
it is more
business and
broad.
things like that as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of it. Mainly like why the H1B system is not really like filling our needs today, and like why it does need to get revamped, and like this is Trump's attempt at that. There's a couple other reasons why he might have done this. One is because of people were commenting on the national debt pressure. Like people were thinking that this is a better way for us to get like more money to fill the national debt, because he's always been focused on doing that. But then when you realize like, okay, it's only applying to like the net new applications, it's $100,000 a year, it doesn't really make a huge dent into the national debt. Like it only really made a dent if you were doing renewals.
Yeah.
And now that he took that away, like it's not really part of the conversation.
Yeah, we were trying to do this math in
Yeah.
a taxi in Thailand.
So he says he's gonna make $100 billion off of it, but if you account for like applications in the last year, you end up around like 60 billion, 50 billion. And then if you account for the fact that less people will apply with this fee, you're at like 20 billion generously. And then that's like 0.05% of the debt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
I
is,
mean,
like,
20 billion
literally
is like,
nothing.
yeah.
I mean, it's an
Theoretically-
attempt. It's an attempt.
Yeah. Sure.
attempt.
Theoretically, if the gold card actually takes off, I guess that could make more of a dent because it's like $1 million to $2 million per person.
Yeah. That's a big deal. Yeah.
And it probably will get more demand the harder you make H1Bs.
Second thing that people are commenting on is that this follows strained ties between U.S. and India. Recently, the U.S. has put tariffs on Indian exports, and it's partly related because India continues to repurchase Russian oil. And so Trump is like mad at Modi for that, blah, blah, blah. And so this is like kind of a way to like bite back because 70% of H1B holders are Indian. And I was actually thinking about this because I was like, wait, isn't this like good for India? Because like we'll stop brain draining them. But a lot of their IT stocks were affected by this because like Tata consultancy services, like all of those places run on the fact that they're all like making money off this like H1-B system, and so they dropped like 5 to 6% since that. And
the Nifty was down.
The Nifty was down.
I do feel like long term it would be way better for India.
And so that's what people are saying, is that like it like affects them short term, but like long term we stop brain draining their ecosystem, and then people are more willing to
build
like
their own ecosystem.
Like build their own startups, like reinvest back into the Indian economy,
which has already like been happening over time. Like I feel like the India startup scene has really been booming, especially in the last like 5 years. And all the US based companies also have huge offices in India now. Even like startups have offices in India now. And so I feel like their entire economy and scene has already been coming back, and this is just another push towards making it even better.
And that's another loophole too. Like companies can just hire more remote workers in India. Like for example, like Priya's company already has like an entire office in India.
We do like a huge hiring in India.
And even post this announcement, I think Modi was at like a like there's a bunch of Indian festivals going on right now because it's like festival season, and he made an announcement saying that like India must become more self-sufficient economically as a result. So it seems like Modi's just like, fuck you too. Like we want our workers back anyways.
Populist.
Wait, wasn't Modi on the phone or something? When he signed it. That's crazy.
So that kind of wraps up like the H1-B conversation so far.
Moving on to our last segment, our Get the Check segment. This week we have Oura, because they're allegedly raising an $875 million Series E at a $10.9 billion valuation, which is expected to close at the end of the month. And this would double their valuation.
And they've already sold 5.5 million units of the Oura ring, 2 of them to the 3 of us. And half of that is just in the past year alone. They're on track to double their 2024 revenue, which was 500 million, to $1 billion. So whoever said consumer is dead.
They literally like call out female consumers. They're like, we love female consumers.
No, it makes sense. And it's unclear exactly what this new funding would be used for since it hasn't been officially announced, but it seems like they want to scale production, expand more internationally, which I didn't realize, but like these wearables are really big internationally as well, like in India and stuff, and then invest in their product.
Some of the other things that have helped their sales is like you can buy it with your HSA, which is like I feel like I feel like as soon as you can buy something with your HSA,
people
you're
are
golden. You're golden.
It's like not even the fact that like you like use your HSA to buy it. It's just like I could use my HSA. Because like the whole thing is like you can like finance it later or like.
Well, it's also just like it's not taxed money. Like it's like triple tax advantaged money that like a lot of the times companies are just giving you. Like when I worked at Microsoft, they would just throw HSA money at us. And it was like so nice. Like I feel like when Therabody got their HSA approval, that also made like a lot of the Theraguns take off because it was like so good to be able to do that.
I didn't even think about that. Wow.
And then the other interesting thing, they became profitable in 2024, and their CEO I think said that they make 20% of their revenue through subscriptions, which is interesting because I feel like this is like a hotly debated topic when it comes to comparing Oura to Whoop to like all of these other brands, is that Oura makes you pay for the hardware, but they also make you pay for the subscription. And I feel like I've always been like of the camp of like, it's $5, who cares? It's like not that much money. But it was interesting to hear him say it's 20% of their revenue because that's like a lot.
That does make sense. We were talking to some founders in the wearable space, and they were explaining to me how when you do the economics of like the business model, you kind of need to charge a subscription. And if you don't, like you're still storing the person's data and continuing to do insights on it. So they're just like a indefinite cost
that you have to
and so I feel like the subscription thing makes sense, and it is interesting how, as you said, like 20% of their revenue is subscriptions, and they're using that when outlining their partnerships. Like for example, their Amex partnership is basically $200 off, which is around the price of the cheapest ring. The rings are like $200 to $500, but it doesn't include subscriptions.
So it's actually so annoying.
It basically just gets a bunch of people to buy the ring. And it has already worked on me because I'm buying my sister an Oura ring for her birthday because I was like gonna spend like around $300 on her gift. And then I was like, why would I not just get something worth like $500?
Oh, because you have the plat?
Yeah.
I thought you got rid of the plat.
I was going to, but then I saw the benefits increase and it low-key worked on me. My issue with the Plat is that I'm actually just the exact target customer. They're like, Lululemon, Resi, like the Centurion Lounge. I'm like, oh.
You're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like bad. Like, I always see these things about how female consumers spend like so much in the economy and anyways. Yeah, so I feel like they're getting a bunch of people into their ecosystem through things like the Amex partnership.
Yeah, no, I think the Amex partnership was so smart of them because like $200, I think the cheapest ring is $299, so you're automatically spending $100 like no matter what, plus the subscription service forever. And it's great.
I think it's $199, but then you have to get the old generation.
The old ones want it. Yeah. Which no one's gonna get. No one's gonna get.
Yeah, but then I feel like honestly, in your head, you're like, oh, like I should get the Oura ring because it's free with my Amex.
Yeah, and then you're like,
okay, if I'm getting it, and it's only like people that have relatively enough money, on average, if they have the Plat. So then they're like, okay, if I'm getting it anyways, like obviously I should get the newest generation,
which you should,
which is literally what happened to me too. Yeah, no, yeah, you should, but then it's like then you pay the extra $100, then you pay the yearly subscription fee.
Yeah, no, I literally I went down the rabbit hole last night of like, should I get the Amex Plat again? Because I was like. Because I've never gotten it yet. And I'm like going back and forth, and now like they have these like new benefits. I was like doing the calculation if it's like worth it, and then I was like, do I count the Oura credit as part of like the credits that I like would use, or do I not? Because it's like
I thought of that too.
Because you have to count it as like credits you would have used already without the card, right? And so I was like, no, like I wouldn't have bought this thing.
Honestly, without it, though, like the other benefits that they added, it adds up to way more. Way more.
It's such a headache though. It's like now I need to like make sure I'm booking a restaurant that's on Resi, and then I'm gonna go buy Lululemon, and I'm gonna spend more than $75, and I wouldn't have spent that otherwise.
Well, the Lululemon stuff, it's like I'll just buy my mom and sister a bunch of gifts, like it's fine.
Yeah, but it's like...
But you do have to think about it. Because it's like, they do this thing where it's like $75 a quarter. It's like every quarter I'm going to remember to spend $75.
No, I forgot about my Saks credit earlier this year.
Yeah. You always forget. So
last year I was good about it. This year I forgot.
This sent me over the edge, and I was like, I need an assistant, but I'm so far away from having that in life.
No, it would honestly be really nice for the three of us to have like one shared assistant. Like, not kidding. Like, I would be down.
Yeah.
I don't have the money, but I would be so down.
I don't think I can give up the control like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, like that'd be hard for me. If you find someone smart, you like trust them after a month.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, their other partnership is with the DoD and Palantir. This was a controversial one on our TikTok. But basically the military is their largest business partnership, which started back in 2019. And I think that'll be another interesting thing with their like international expansion, because I actually think like governments and the military is a really good person to sell something like an Oura ring to. And so I think that's like a way that they could grow their enterprise platform.
Yeah, and they're partnered with Palantir to get like military grade secure cloud infrastructure that's FedRAMP certified, that they can put data that they collect on military members that opt into this on. And it makes sense because like, I don't know if you remember this, but there's a huge controversy with Strava because people basically figured out a bunch of secret military bases because military members were using Strava, and it was like all the heat map of where they're running and stuff was all public. So it makes sense that they want this data to be secure.
Yeah, and then their final one was with Dexcom, and it's kind of a broader like wellness category of them also partnering with Natural Cycles and like even Core Power. But Dexcom invested $75 million in Oura Series D, and it's basically a two-way integration between the ring and the glucose sensors. And it's basically just a push beyond traditionally what you get with the Oura ring, which is like sleep tracking, recovery tracking, all of that, into preventative health. It's kind of like the conversation we were having with 8 Sleep of how do you get into the proactive health market, because that's where everything is going. And so I think that they've set themselves up for success through all of these partnerships, both from like a business monetary perspective with like the Amex partnership, but then also just like where the strategy will go in the future with companies like Dexcom.
Do you feel like the Oura ring tracks your period correctly?
Yeah, it's so good.
It's really?
Well, because it tracks your temperature, and I never realized like how accurate it is. Because like literally since I've had the Oura ring, there has not been a single time it's wrong. Like the day I get my period, my temperature drops every time.
Well, even better than tracking your period, which is also like, or I don't know if better, but like it also tracks your fertility. So regardless if you want to be pregnant or don't want to be pregnant,
Yeah,
it'll tell you that like very accurately.
Because I honestly, I feel like that might be my biggest like selling point. Like, because I don't really care about like too much about like my steps or whatever, or like how active I'm being. But I feel like the thing that I care about is like, am I gonna bleed through my pants tomorrow? Because my period's really irregular.
Yeah,
It's also nice to know your sleep and stuff just over time.
it is nice.
Like
to
I feel
know.
like especially like I kind of would think I was getting more sleep than I was.
Me too, actually.
Wait, really?
I also
Yeah.
thought I was getting more sleep because like the time that you're in bed is not actually the time you're asleep.
And it's
And I always correlated that, and I'm like, oh, there's like a 30 to 45-minute difference in the actual amount of sleep I'm getting.
Oh, wow.
And it's not just like how many minutes it takes you to fall asleep, but I feel like in your head when you do the math of when you sleep and wake up, you're like, oh, I slept around 12, but it like wasn't actually 12 that you got into bed. That was like when you're aiming to get into bed.
Yeah, it is interesting
Wow.
because the stats are different than like I would thought. Yeah. Okay, well, Annika has to catch a flight, so we gotta go.
See you. Bye.
Bye.